This is the John Williams Memorial Service. We're here at Inspiration Point, and here are a lot of his family here. Everybody's coming over here to pay their respects.
Thank you. How are you? You're looking good.
And this is the mountain over here.
That's what that is.
John used to run up this all the time. Baden Powell. Right there. And he runs.
You guys didn't bike him.
What's going on, Hal?
Hey, how you doing?
All right. So we got a few people here. Looks like we got Cheryl, Laura.
How's your son?
Like here's some pictures of John Williams with his family.
Yeah, the schools where we lived at. Pinnacle with the kids' school was like behind us. Like for their whatever they would.
And this is the embodiment of all John Williams represented right here. Every time I drive by a Joshua tree and a yucca plant or a cactus, and I think of all the deserts, exactly where we ran, and all this, just like this. This is it, John.
Say a word. I guess that'd be
The best people that I've ever known, even though he was my son. His heart was good. He loved his friends, and his family loved him very much. I want you to know that. We adored him. He just immersed himself up here in the hills, and we didn't get to see him as much as we wanted to, but we knew he was in good hands.
About 2001, and I had moved from San Bernardino up to the high desert, and I was looking for other runners to run with, so I started a web page called Hesperia Trail Runners. And then John Williams found me, and also John Marnell, and John Williams was responsible for creating the Yahoo group, which basically founded the High Desert Runners. And we went from the Yahoo group, we've now merged into the Facebook page, and because of John, there's a lot of people in the high desert now who are very fit, healthy. They run on a regular basis, and we can coordinate runs and set up things. And I'll just tell you a quick story. One time when John and I were running, I was telling Tara this story. We were climbing up Mount San Gorgonio. We started at Vivian Creek and going up this very, very steep, really steep grades, and I had my Huskies, and the determined runner John was, you know, he led us all the way to the top. We got to the top and just kind of took it all in, took some great pictures, and then on the way down, as runners sometimes do, we took a wrong turn. And I don't know if you've been to the top of Mount San Gorgonio, but there's just rocks everywhere. It's hard to really see the defined trails. And we started going on the wrong side of the mountain, and we got down, I don't know, it's been a few miles, and I was so famished. But John, always the prepared person he was, he had some bread, like some muffins and rolls and things in his backpack. And our run ended up taking about 8 hours. And I was only planning on 5, and I think if not for his preparedness, I would have been in really big trouble. But eventually we found, even though we're lost, we found a creek. And John says, well, let's just take this creek. It's going downhill. It's got to get us off of the mountain by dark. So I said, okay, let's do it. So I had my 2 Huskies, John Williams, and we just started going down this creek, sometimes way steep canyon walls on both sides. If there weren't the canyon walls, it was the really thick underbrush, really thick kind of stuff. And eventually we got to the edge of the creek, and we go, well, where are we? We looked over, and that was Forest Falls. So we made it all the way to the top of Forest Falls, and then, of course, we figured out a way to switch back down, and then our cars weren't too far from there. So that was a really, it's kind of what I call binding experience with John, and I always remember. And I've run, I don't know, maybe what, 1,000 miles, or how many miles do we run with him?
Oh, thousands.
Thousands. I mean, and this John Marnell's also, he's one of the 3 musketeers in the original beginning to get this whole thing going. But we're going to miss John. He's a great man. See you later, John.
I was rehabilitating my knee by bicycle riding, and my wife and I together, and John come across us, and he'd slow way down and stay with us on the flat for a little bit and talk to us. And I realized what a great rider he was, and he began to show us different trails and different places to ride. He was just a real inspiration. Really got us into mountain biking, and my knee got better and better, and still could never catch him though. But, I think he really liked to taunt me a lot when we were climbing up the hills, and he'd just blow by me.
Sierra Madre, but I kind of got used to running with some of these guys in the high country, and really you guys are almost like a second family to me. I mean, I'd rather run with you guys almost than the people in my backyard. There's something really genuine about the people up here, and John was one of those guys. John Marnell is another one, and a lot of the other people that we run with. But the couple of things that I'm going to always remember about him was he was such a lighthearted guy. I mean, you could just split up. He could split you up in laughter when you're on the trail. No matter what the situation was, he'd find something humorous or lighthearted, carefree, extremely talented. If you couldn't keep up with him on a bike, I couldn't come close to him running. And but he was full of surprises. I mean, one time we were doing this huge, enormous run, and it was like 100 degrees out. And we're running along somewhere, and he sees a snake on the trail somewhere, so he reached down and picked it up and threw it in his backpack. I was freaking out.
Yeah.
And I talked with him later on, and we continued on the rest of that day, and I asked him how the snake was, and he said, I got home and he was just fine. So I'm sure the next time he was out running, he picked up a few lizards and fed them to the snake. But he was, and especially I think the night runs, we're going to have to dedicate a couple of runs to him.
Yeah.
Because on some of these night runs, you know, they were hilarious. You know, you see things at night that you don't see during the day, and, you know, you try to stick together at night. And John was always, he was the life of the party. I mean, he just made everything seem so much more fun. I'm really saddened to hear about him, and I trust he's in a better place right now. I sure hope and pray so. Snap him and
Real said, he was a fun guy, and some of you that know the areas out here that we used to run, every Thursday we do a very hard 5-mile run. Up a mountain, 5 miles, make a U-turn, come back down. 10, we call it the hill, and a lot of the bikers have run Highway 173, the dirt portion, have ridden it. And so every Thursday we'd be up there, rain or shine or snow or what, we'd go up and just had a good time. I never realized how much fun John was having until we got down to the bottom, finished one Thursday, and he says, you know what would really be fun? Let's do this again Saturday.
Yeah.
And he said, and after the run, there's a 10K in Apple Valley. So we can do the run, then drive like heck to the 10K. I said, well, John, that's crazy. He said, oh, we can do it. So we did. We showed up at the hill about 6 o'clock Saturday morning, ran up again, back down, jumped in his truck, and we drove like heck to get to Apple Valley to do this stupid 10K right after running that hill. And I tell you, but he laughed the whole time, joking around, talk about that for a long time, how dumb that was that we did that. But he was just a fun guy to be with, I tell you, and we certainly miss him.
Mostly he didn't go. I'd say, okay, you're going to have to go stay in your room for a week. All right, pick up an encyclopedia and go to his room and sit and read the encyclopedia. Yeah, with his dog, Cinnamon Bear. Cinnamon Bear. And that was it. He was happy. He was in his room. He had an encyclopedia. I want you guys to know he read all of the encyclopedias. He knew a lot of nothing. And he was happy to share it.
Knees too, and so he reluctantly, gave up running, which I know he loved. But every so often, and I could picture him in a couple of places where a group of us would be out running somewhere, and off in the distance we'd see John up on top of the hill on his bike. He'd be watching us and waiting for us, and he couldn't run on or bike on all the same trails we ran on because we weren't supposed to. But it was like it was a memory out of the past. He still wanted to be part of us.
Yes.
And I'm so glad to see so many faces that John knew. Glad to see you guys come out.
This doesn't start to count all the faces either.
Yeah,
There's a lot more.
there's a lot more.
I know he'd been out there in the high desert for maybe 20 years, I don't know. But once he moved to the high desert, we weren't that close anymore. But up until then, we were. Then I retired to Arizona 10 years ago, and that meant we only had breakfast once a year together when I come over on Memorial Day.
Strict. And we went for a run one time, and he said, well, I got to tell you, he says, I went to a dinner last night or yesterday, and they had turkey. He said, I hadn't had meat in years, but it was looked so good, I had to have some. So I did. He said, I just stuffed myself. It tasted so good. I forgot how good, how bad it was being a vegetarian. You miss all that. Well, next day he was just sicker than a dog. He paid for that splurge that he did. But yeah, he was quite the guy.
I'm John's daughter, and seeing the overwhelming support and love and memories that have been posted on Facebook by the running and the mountain biking community, it's been comforting yet extremely overwhelming for me because I knew my dad was somewhat of a prolific figure over here, and I wasn't sure if maybe perhaps he was hated because of his taunting, and I knew he likes to rub salt in the wound, but I've also read that he was kind enough to wait for you at the top if he smoked you, so I can definitely tell you that being his daughter, it's interesting, going through my own running and weightlifting, you feel like being related to someone like that, you have no excuses because you see your dad at 50-something years old doing the things that he did, at 28 years old. I have absolutely no excuses. And you feel a little bit more compelled to because you are John Williams' daughter, and now seeing so much of what he started with the running group and the running pages and the mountain biking pages, and knowing that a lot more people are out here being happy and enjoying nature. And I came out here for the first time yesterday, and it was so overwhelmingly beautiful. I felt as if I were closer to God just being up here, because it's just, I don't even have words to describe it, and I never quite understood why he spent so much time up here, aside from the fact that, this is where the mountains were, and, he needed to come conquer them every day. And just seeing everything that everyone has put on Facebook has been very, very nice. Someone actually wrote something on Facebook that I thought was phenomenal. If you know my dad, and he wrote you an email, he had a signature that said, I used to run and now I roll.
Yeah.
Someone posted something and they said, John Williams, he used to run and he used to roll and now he'll fly.
This is Kira, right?
This is Carrie, but
Carrie, but this is Miss.
it's the same girl.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
She used to go. She went by Misty in school. Yeah. She decided to call herself Misty. Yeah.
Got from his brother.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I know. Yes, I do.
Well, now I know he has a couple other bikes,
I always joked
probably ones we don't even know about.
Yeah, he's got one. We've got him in our garage. We've got the one that he broke recently.
Right, right. And I only know him from riding in Honda Valley, and
It was still
always
the bike
upbeat.
was worse. I went up twice on the bike.
A great guy.
Yeah.
Never a bad day.
Yeah, he was.
There's never wasted time hanging out with John.
Good athlete.
No, always upbeat.
Oh.